across the printed plane, all of you around America and around the world that are looking forward to today's analysis. We got some amazing stuff we're going to talk about. And Mercedes just showed me a comment feedback from someone in the audience. For all I know, it could have been one of your family members.
No,
but
it wasn't.
No, since her mother does watch. And they said, Lance, you're too intense. You don't have to be so over the top, dramatic, melodramatic, and angry. Folks, I'm naturally wound up this way. Now, I have a comedic side to me, and it's there. But when I do this program, and I peer into the abyss of what's happening in America, it's difficult to find that humorous perspective. And I'm going to work on it. I'm going to find it because I know that the irony is that all of the news cycle that we're dealing with is, in a sense, as bad as it is, it's actually good. Now, I'll give you an example of how you could flip this thing around and look at everything. I could tell you right now, for instance, about we just did a broadcast, which will come out, you'll hear it, on what happened with the Gretchen Whitmer supposed kidnapping, assassination, abduction, and storming of the Michigan Capitol, which nobody's talking about because it was exposed by the fact that there were some 14 individuals involved. They were trying to indict, but there was 11 people in the mix who were actually FBI informants, FBI agents, FBI people. And of course, the comedy there is that they had virtually half of the people involved in breaking into the Capitol and kidnapping the governor were FBI agents. Now, obviously, in another light, that actually is SNL skit material, which they'll never do, but it works. The other reality is that all of the things that are happening now are actually, it's like in the Bible, you'd have Pharaoh's chariots coming down after this struggling little Hebrew nation, and they're backed up against the Red Sea, and what are they going to do? And you have all this machinery. It's kind of like the media and the government and the intelligence agencies and the corporations barreling down on our little MAGA movement, and they're coming down at us. But then the Bible says that God takes the wheels off the chariots of Pharaoh, and it gets ground into the ground. This is exactly what's happening now. All of the narratives that they were working on, all of the agendas that they thought were going to work, the wheels are coming off. I'll give an example. The Durham report is its own, slow glacier pace moving, but very meticulous process that is now finally producing the indictments. What we're finding out is the highest level of the Hillary Clinton machine, which included staff and law firm and money being put through the law firm, working with, at various points, once again, the FBI. And we're finding out that there's these indictments coming out which are incriminating the Hillary machine.
Will you do me a favor?
What?
Will you, in a nutshell, break down the Durham report? So everybody talks about the Durham report. And I'm just wondering how many people listen to you, probably like my husband who listens every day. But it's kind of wondering, people, Durham report. Okay, well, what is that? And you said it's moving at a glacier pace because it's been taking years. Will you just do a short summary so everybody knows what you're talking about?
I'll give you the Kamala Harris summary, which is Russia's a big country and Ukraine's a little one.
And then you cackle.
I'm going to give you that version of it. The Durham report basically is working on the entire origin of the Russian dossier, which we believe Trump knew to be the byproduct of some collusion of intelligence services and politicians working with the Clinton campaign in order to gin up and manufacture a convoluted story. And you remember how we were trapped by this Mueller investigation, and Papadopoulos, and we had Rachel Maddow screeching every night, covering the latest incendiary, salacious detail of the Trump scandal, of how he and Putin were working together. And so Durham's task was to begin the slogging process of having to do the interviews when all the lawyers were resisting, and that's what took so long. All the apparatus was up there, but he went person by person by person to piece together the forensic evidence. I remember Rush Limbaugh saying, listen, this thing's going to take time, you guys, and he was sympathetic with it. He said, you don't understand. When you're going up against the government, a Hillary Clinton campaign, Perkins Coie, her league, or the biggest legal division of the Democratic Party, and the DNC itself, and their slush funds, their money, and their collusion with the intelligence services, not only here, but in Great Britain, where the Russian Steele dossier came from, a former intelligence agency guy with MS 16 or whatever with England. Here's the deal, MS6. So here's the deal. The Durham report is now putting the finger on the highest level of individual working with the Hillary Clinton campaign in the legal team that got the money to pay off and coordinate the fake information. And so what this does is it proves that this Russian dossier wasn't information that came up by itself. It was curated, manufactured, funded, and then working through the intelligence apparatus of the United States and Great Britain, how they corrupted themselves in order to produce a fake indictment that almost impeached a president and stole the United States for 2 years, the function of government in investigation that created a frenzy in the media that cost the midterm elections, which put AOC and others into office who would have gone there anyway. But the damage it did to America was so profound that we just move on from these things because we forget. But Durham's going back and saying, now, who put the dossier together? Who paid for it? How did the intelligence services end up signing off on this? How was it that James Clapper actually gets a phone call from Comey in order to break the news on CNN that the Russian dossier is serious and has been put in front of the president? So Comey, basically coordinating with Clapper over at CNN, says to him, I'm going to present the dossier tonight. I'm going to show it to him so that it could be breaking news on CNN. The president has been briefed that the dossier is now in the hands of the FBI to create the impression that Trump now is getting closed in on, that the walls are closing in on the corrupt president. Durham is meticulously beginning to put the squeeze. He's got one key lawyer who works with the Clinton campaign as the liaison with Perkins Coie and working with the FBI, who is now, and they've seized his texts, which reveals him alerting the FBI he needs to have a meeting because something serious has come up. So it's kind of like still shrouded in a bit of mystery, but you're going to start to see grand juries form, and this is what's going to come out. That's why it's important that you have that Durham report, which is closing in on the corruption of the Clinton campaign and the origin of the fake dossier and how it took over America and almost unseated a president.
Wow.
But in the meantime, the Hunter Biden laptop, this is like a perfect storm. Suddenly, with the contents being put out by Jack Maxey, and it took the New York Post and the Daily Mail. It takes two courageous, truly liberal, journalist organizations to let the story get out, let the emails get out, let the data get out. Hey, this is Lance. I hope you enjoyed that segment you got. That's not the entire podcast, but I'd like you to hear the entire message. We have a lot of interesting things you didn't get to cover in this segment so far. Go to lancewallnau.com/podcast and watch the entire unedited message. You know, if you're like me, you're listening to all this technological input. Now, I'm a baby boomer. I admit that. I'm on the north side of a lot of baby boomers. I'm in my 60s, and ExpressVPN starts popping up on my devices and making a compelling argument that I need to have security. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not exactly even sure what I'm VPNing. So I contact my team because I've got a crack group of producers and technical people that run this whole program. And Chelsea now is going to help me understand, what does ExpressVPN do, Chelsea? Why are we putting this on our phones and on our computers and in our office?
Well, the reason I started using an ExpressVPN personally was because every time you go online, you go on the internet, they're taking your data and stealing it, right? Like they're taking your data, they're selling it to this company, that company. Google's
they?
selling Google,
Oh.
Facebook, whoever owns Twitter, all those people. Anytime you go on there and like you go into Google and you type in what you're searching for, they take that and they sell it. And they start using that to track you, track your friends. That's why if you have a conversation, like if I have a conversation with Mercedes about slippers, she Googles slippers. Well, I'm going to start getting ads for slippers because they see how much time we spend together. And so what ExpressVPN does is it anonymizes you on the internet. So if she goes online with the ExpressVPN turned on her phone, it's real simple, then Google can't track her Googling for slippers.
Oh, is it like another browser though, Chelsea?
No, it's not another browser. It's actually super simple. I didn't realize it was so simple when I downloaded it. So you just download it as an app on your phone and you turn it on and it runs in the background.
Oh.
But it is protecting you.
Yeah, it is protecting you. Yeah, it's super easy. I can even show you on my phone. So I turn it on and I open up the ExpressVPN app and you see green, it's turned on. So anytime you text someone, like even when I'm like texting Mercedes, like, hey, this, that, blah, 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 it's not tracking it. It's not taking that data.
How?
And my favorite thing, for example, I like to watch some British television and I can't always watch it when I want to watch it. Like Call the Midwife. It's releasing right now in England.
Oh my gosh, my wife watches that.
I know,
it's so traumatized.
It's so
I come home for dinner and it's like women are in like breech birth or something.
I know it's my husband doesn't understand. But you can change your location on here to say, "Hey, I'm in England." And then you can watch the show you want to watch in the other country.
That's very millennial sneaky of you.
So that's my favorite thing. So number one, they're not selling my data. Number two, I can watch whatever I want to watch.
All right, so you can go to expressvpn.com/Lance, expressvpn.com/Lance, and you can get all these valuable hacks as well. And you're going to be able to protect your data and your privacy, which is increasingly important as we see the beast